everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy at TV. In case you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. Just press the subscribe button as well as turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications when we upload our videos. Don't also forget to subscribe and join, follow, like our other social media platforms. Of course, you're seeing it right about now. Don't also forget to share this video across your platforms. Enjoy the video. All right, David Olujinmi is a financial analyst with SBM Intelligence. Hello, David. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. I can hear you. Yes, SBM's report, of course, you work with SBM. Your report, I've read the report, and it challenges the conventional assumptions. David, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I can hear you loud and clear.
It challenges the assumptions about where Nigerians enjoy the best quality of life. I'm surprised about some of your findings. Because if you even ask an average Nigerian, you know, where the quality of life, they may say, okay, perhaps rivers there with Kano. But people will talk about, you know, some other states. So speak to us about this report and the findings of SBM. Just 1 minute, no, less than 1 minute, then we'll interrogate further.
So it's a perception report. It's a perception index. We surveyed our respondents in 8 states in the country, and from these 8 states, we asked them questions on different things, questions on where they are likelihood to relocate, how they perceive the environment to be, the lived environment they are in right now, how they perceive it to be. We touched on many areas of such, and we surveyed about 8 states, ensuring that we touch all the geopolitical zones in the country. So what we are saying, right, the report we are getting is a report based on a perception index. So when you begin to look through the report, you begin to go down and break, you begin to understand that the way people perceive the environment to be is quite different from state to state. So in a state like Lagos, you have a very high percentage of people that say they would like to relocate. Meanwhile, in a state like Kano or Oyo, you discover that a lot of people are very satisfied. In a state like Cross River, there's not a lot of satisfaction. So it was a perception index. It's not based on, it was not, we didn't, so the quality of life ranking was based on how the people in those places perceive the quality of life they are living right now to be. And it was majorly within the urban areas, and we touched on all the incomes, all the class categories of incomes, the upper high income people, the middle income people, and the low income people. But it was majorly a perception index across the urban regions.
Why I said I was surprised is ahead of cities like Lagos and Abuja. Because you want to say, yes, you see people in other states, they'll be like, oh, okay. You see people, perhaps even in the rural areas, where do you want to live? Okay, I want to go to Lagos. I want to go to Abuja. I want to go to Rivers.
One thing you discover is that when there's a part of the report we did not dwell extensively on likely to relocate. What city are you likely to relocate to? Okay. The number one amongst our respondents was Abuja. So discover that a lot of people who stay in Lagos actually want to go to Abuja.
Oh, they want to relocate? Really? Because when I speak with those Lagosians, they'll be like, oh, Abuja is too slow for us. So they say, I like my husband also.
So the thing is, it all depends on the kind of people you are speaking to. Like I said, we review people across different income classes.
That's a valid point.
An average person who stays in some of these places, when you speak to a lot of them, you discover that people actually would like to live where they are right now. But you know, you can't just up and leave. You have to be smart in your decision making.
Okay. From your report, Kano ranked first for the quality of life, yet last for income. Over 31% of your respondents earn less than 100,000 naira a month. How do you reconcile at that? And what does this tell us about what families actually value?
Exactly. So now there's an introduction you gave in the beginning where you said something around the fact that a lot of the you made a statement around the fact that beyond income, there are a lot of things that people are now looking out for when it comes to where to live. Understand? So if you look at our reports, you discover that when it comes to the level of satisfaction, in our reports, we discover that people with the highest level of satisfaction were the people in Oyo, then Kano followed. Only 2% of people in Oyo State probably were of the opinion that they would like to leave. So income is quite important, right? But one thing this report really highlights is the fact that beyond how much another thing that we also pay attention to is the fact that a lot of the people that we surveyed were workers with private enterprises. So the point I'm making is that beyond how much people earn, there's a lot that the governments of those states have to do in the sense of helping people actually have a better sense of life, like helping people feel satisfied in this community. So power, electricity is a big deal. Electricity is a big deal. The quality of living, quality of markets, access to childcare, access to healthcare. These are factors that actually determine for a lot, especially for family people, where they would like to live. You discover that it's much more than okay. And so, like when you look at it now, look at the report. People who stay, in fact, of all the people surveyed in Cross River, nobody earns lower than 100,000. Of all the over 100 people that were surveyed in Cross River, none of them earn less than 100,000. They were the second highest earners after Abuja. Over 23% of the people earn above 500k monthly. But yet, when it comes to the quality of life reports, you discover that there was so much complaint on the fact that the quality of living
that also surprised me. Yes, that surprised me in Cross River. Yes,
the urban environment. There's a lot of complaints about the urban environment, the state of the roads in the place. So people live in parts of like Calabar where there's really no roads. One of our respondents spoke to the fact that there's no road to his house. The point that even a wheelbarrow cannot move.
So during the rainy season now, it will be difficult to navigate.
So factors like that. No matter how much person like that earns, it becomes a big challenge in the sense. It becomes a challenge that okay, you start to reason. Another state that we notice for our people that stay in Cross River, many of them indicated the likelihood to move to Uyo, which is just neighboring Cross River State. So there's a lot of factors. One of the things that we learned from this report is that though Abuja earns, like you put on the screen, so income is quite important, but the governments of the states, I use Oyo as another example. A lot of people feel satisfied in Oyo State, not because everything is rosy and fine in Oyo State. So, but prior to all of this, prior to this kidnapping incident, the state was basically up, and there's been a lot of sentiment around the fact that okay, the government is trying to put some things in order. People, if you stay in Lagos now, a lot of people are expressing sentiments of okay, I'd really like to relocate to Ibadan because there is a perception about the place. So one thing that governments can always do with the places that they govern is always try to improve the quality of living, try and build the roads, make markets better, cleaner cities. Cleaner cities are a big deal for Nigerians in such a way that just being in a cleaner city really. So when you look through these reports, you discover that northern cities have a higher people who stay in the northern cities like Kano, Bauchi, Abuja, they express a higher level of satisfaction with the places they stay in. And it's because of things as basic as okay, cleaner cities. Very, very basic things that it's beyond. I know that when you stay in a state like Lagos, everything your brain begins to revolve around the income, how much money,
exactly how to navigate the area.
Yeah, so people will literally move from a city like they will literally live in a place like some can live in as far as Ojo or Janiki and go as far as Lekki to work because of income. Nobody that lives that kind of life is satisfied with that kind of life if we're going to be as sincere as we can be.
Exactly.
So there is a lot of metrics around how people live their lives. So basically it's wide range, and the government also have. I was saying on a different platform about the fact that governments have a lot of role to play in the macroeconomics of their states. Everybody looks at the federal government when it comes to everybody looks at federal government when it comes to the economy, economic perception, what's inflation saying, the price of goods in the market, and all of that. But in the real sense, the governors also have a role to play when it comes to the macroeconomic condition of their states. When I'm talking about macroeconomic conditions, talking of state inflation, state by state inflation,
Inflation, yeah.
talking of factors like I'm talking of factors like routes to markets, rural access roads. How do people move their goods from the farm to the markets? Factors like
The
direct
cleanliness
consumer
of the
spending.
city
How is
itself, or even the states.
exactly?
Yes.
So the cleanliness of the cities, the states, the access to education in rural
Exactly.
communities. The people have to go kilometers away to probably access like schools that their children can attend. How do they access healthcare? What's the closest? Where are the closest health centers to them? There's something that we should pay attention to. In a state like Lagos, private health providers private sector basically dominates education and healthcare in a state like Lagos. They provide the bulk of education services and healthcare services to people. But in other states in the country, a lot of people still go to public schools across the country. A lot of children still go to public schools
bringing
across
us to
the
the
country.
question of Lagos, what is Lagos getting wrong for families? Because yes, you will hear the government, the Lagos state government, or even the federal government out. President Tinubu was at the time the governor of Lagos State. You see a lot of private sector investment there in health and in education, just like your report has said. But what exactly is Lagos getting wrong for families that people are not satisfied with living there? It's not livable.
So when it comes to, one thing is security, the perception of security. One of the big when it comes to family, one of the big indexes we tracked was how secure do you feel with your children being outside at say 8 p.m. in the night. Neighborhood security is a big problem in Lagos. I don't know if you stay in Lagos. It's not a matter of.
David, I'm talking with you from Abuja. I'm in Abuja.
Yes, I know.
Okay, but I studied in Lagos. Yes, but I studied in Lagos for years. I was born there.
Security is a big deal.
Yes.
Okay. So neighborhood security is a big deal in such that for the people who stay in Kano, about 80% of our respondents who are family people in Kano, they say that they feel safe with their children being outside by 8 p.m. in the night. And we attributed it to the fact that the government of the state made attempts, such as having a neighborhood watch, so that people can actually neighborhood watch that will spread across all of the communities in the state. So people whose job is basically to watch out on the street, to watch the streets.
And what is also interesting from your reports is that Kano ranked second only to Abuja for practical support. You know, relatives helping with childcare, school emergencies, school runs. You know, so to what extent is even Nigeria's extended family system acting as perhaps an invisible public service, compensating for gaps that the state isn't filling? I hope you understand what I mean with this question.
Please come again.
Yes. For Kano, since you were talking about Kano earlier, it ranks second only to Abuja, I think, for practical support. You know, that means, of course, relatives being helped with childcare, school runs. If you have an emergency or who to call, you can easily do that in Kano, unlike other cities. Imagine doing it in Lagos, where perhaps you are working in Lekki and you are coming from Ajangbadi or somewhere. You understand what I mean?
I get what you're saying. So this thing here is that these are practical. I didn't grow up in Lagos, right? I didn't grow up in Lagos. But one thing I've come to understand is that when you grow up in a city that probably is outside of the Lagos government, you tend to understand that there is a lot that goes into, there is a more familiar lifestyle. I tell people who grow up in Lagos and who live their life in Lagos, there's a level of rush, you know, having to be all over the place that is consistent with Lagos. It's not a reality. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, David. Go
Okay,
ahead.
okay. So I was saying that it's not a reality that exists for people that are really outside of the Lagos life, because you have all of these structures. There's family structure in place. There is a more organized, I don't want to use the word organized, but there is a less rush hour kind of lifestyle that people are used to when you live outside of the Lagos cycle. You don't have to wake up by 4 a.m. in the morning to have to take your children to school in the morning. I didn't grow up in this. I didn't grow up in that. Personally, I never grew up in that kind of lifestyle where you wake up 5 a.m. in the morning because the parents have to take the children to school that is close to where they work, and probably will take them to school in another local government. When we look at it, so some will have to move their children to schools that are on the island because they want to be close to their children, so that when they're done with school, they will have to bring them to their offices before everybody starts the rendezvous back to go
Okay.
home. All of that lifestyle, it's not a commonality outside of Lagos. So there's a way Lagos is, and it's just a reflection of the Nigerian state of the Nigerian economy, where all of bulk of the economic
Are
opportunities, the bulk of the
concentrated there.
countries are concentrated in this
Okay.
very small parts of land.
Yes. Okay, just in a few seconds, if a family is watching us this morning and picking up your report or listening to you and comes to you with one question, one simple question, where should we raise our children? What will you say to them, and what does your data say?
Oh my God.
You didn't think about that, did you?
Okay. If it was based on what I report here, I would say raise your child in Kano,
In
right? If it's
Kano.
just based on face value, raise your child in Kano. So I'll be a bit biased though. I'll be a bit biased towards the north because I grew up in the north. So
Okay.
unlike you, I grew up in the north and I moved to Lagos. Then you lived in Lagos and you moved to the
To
north
the
in a way.
north, yeah.
So there's
Because
when
that's
it
what your
comes to
data is
raising,
telling them. That's what your data is telling
exactly.
them, but it could also be
What
different in terms of income or what you're looking at,
yeah,
quality of
exactly.
life, school educational system, healthcare, and all of that. Quality of life.
So
Okay, go ahead.
So there's a thing about the economy that has happened to Nigeria over the past, say, 10 years since 2015, say before 2015. But quality of life was not, when it comes to income, earnings were not, there was not the disparity we see now between bigger cities and
Was
smaller
not
cities.
much.
It was not as much as
Yes,
what we
as it
see
is
today.
now.
So right now there is a lot more consideration on income,
Yeah.
because you probably be doing the same amount of work in Bauchi and someone in
Yeah.
Lagos will do the same amount of work, like the same job role, and 4 times, 3 times more than what you're earning.
But there's still high cost of living,
So
which is impacting
there's still
it.
high cost
Yes.
of living because the cost of food is not so much.
Okay.
These
Okay.
disparities are not so high.
Okay.
So yeah.
David, I
You have
think,
a, you
yes.
wanted to say something?
No, no, no. I think we'll leave it at that. At least the
Yeah.
message has been passed across, the report has been passed across, and let our viewers do what they wish to do, at least with this data. But what this data also shows is that government needs to be attentive, and especially governors, as to what
Especially
people,
the state governors,
state
yes.
governors, are saying. Thank you very much, David. David
Thank
Olujinmi
you.
is the financial analyst at SBM Intelligence, and we've been talking about the quality of life in Nigeria. Of course, I tell my Lagosian friends when they come to Abuja, perhaps you see, I'll be like, oh, the quality of life here is better. I'm not on the rush anymore like I used to be in Lagos. That's one. And life expectancy in Abuja could be higher because the air here
Yeah,
is
it's actually
cleaner.
higher.
The air here is
It's actually
cleaner
higher because you
and
don't
all
have
of
to deal
that.
with some of the, yeah,
I don't
there's a
have to
lot,
be on
there's
the
a lot
road
of
by 4
factors.
a.m. here. So anyway,
Even
thank you.
the kind of waters you drink.
Exactly, here is cleaner. All right, thank you very much,
So,
David. Thank you. Thank you for making it up to this minute, watching the video. Thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Like, follow all our other social our media, our platforms, where we keep you up to speed with fantastic interviews, as well as markets, personal finance, business, and economy information. This is the best place to be. I'll see you all again in the next video.